Shockingly, I have yet to do a youth to gold on FM26. And I was struggling to think of a team, and I decided I would let the FM gods choose who I was going to be. So I loaded up the top 5 leagues in Europe, and I would let fate decide by using the random team button. And of all teams available, it selected Lecce in the Serie A. So we are going to try and build Lecce into a powerhouse team to win the Champions League by only signing teenagers and never using players 30 or above. Now, I've had a little brief look around the club, and I generally think this could be a perfect youth to gold team. Firstly, they are predicted to finish in the relegation zone, so are in need of a rebuild. Not to mention that also means we'll be given a little bit of time and kind of a little bit of leeway to sort of introduce some youth players into the first team. But the best is that Lecce have just 2 players who are 30, and that's their oldest players, meaning next season we have just 4 first team players to sell. Now, of course, almost all of those players, including the goalkeeper, feature in my best 11 for this season, but that's a problem for next summer. We have a few loan players too which will need replacing, including the striker Kamada from AC Milan in this first year. And another problem we might have is Antonio Gallo, who is one of our best players at left wing back, who only has a year left on his contract and is refusing to sign an extension. Berisha is a player we can hopefully grow and develop here. He's just 21 years old and looks solid in that midfield. And with the very little money that we have here at Lecce, we have brought in a fantastic Italian right midfielder to kick things off in Venturino from Genoa, who costs us just short of £9 million for the 19-year-old. As you see, we set up our Lecce side in a 3-4-3 wide formation using 2 wide forwards that drops into a 5-2-3 out of possession in a low block. And considering our first games of the season in the league were Inter Milan and Roma, I will definitely take 1 point at this early stage. But as I always seem to do in Italy, I surprised myself with the underdog team. New signing Venturino was a delight and worth every penny we spent on him this season, scoring 11 goals and assisting 6 from the right wing. While from the left, Sotil, who again is only on loan, bagged 15 goals and got 14 assists. We still couldn't get Gallo to stay, which is a shame because he also got 6 goals and 10 assists from that left wing back role. And what could have been, because the end of the season brought us a bad spell, winning only 1 in our 8 games from the middle of March all the way through to the beginning of May. And yet, we still managed to pull off a miracle and finish in 4th place in the Serie A, with Roma as champions. It really was a bizarre season too, because AC Milan, Inter, Napoli all finished between 6th and 8th. Lazio finished above us with Juve, and Roma of course winning the league, and we only had 1 more loss than what Roma did with just 7. But this team has been absolutely superb. I'm gutted we're losing the likes of Antonio Gallo. He's just refusing to sign a new contract, and he has been so good for us this season. So left wing back, because we've got to keep the same system now, is definitely a role we need to fill. But we also need to fill our front 3, because Sotil, who has been our best player this season, was only on loan from Fiorentina. We can't sign him. He's 26 years of age. And Kamada goes back to AC Milan. Now, we could buy him for £2.6 million. That is a good option for us. However, as I expected, despite finishing above AC Milan, he doesn't want to join us permanently. So we have £9 million to replace those 3 players, as well as the 30-year-olds that are still in the first team. Which could be very tricky, considering it's 2 midfielders, our number 1 goalkeeper, and our rotational right wing back, who started 15 games this season. This summer, we managed to sell all 4 of the players who were now too old for our side in the youth to gold rules to make a good chunk of money in doing so. Our replacement goalkeeper was 19-year-old Kiani Zagan, who looks a decent keeper for his age, that we brought for just £6 million from AZ Alkmaar. Who, by the way, AZ Alkmaar are an awesome team to do a youth to gold this year. Might have to do it myself. We also brought in Kasper Podolski, a Polish centre-back just 18 years old, and again, a really solid player for a teenager that cost just £6 million from Mainz. I knew we desperately needed a striker this summer though, and I went and brought in Tugra Turhan, a young Turkish striker, for £12.5 million. We failed to replace the left back right now and left winger in this window. However, we have an adequate replacement coming in January for left wing back, while I'm happy to give Banda a try at left wing, seeing as he never got a look in last season. Now the player that I have got and locked in is the most sought after wonder kid in FM26 for January in Saba Karabashvili, a player who will thrive in our advanced wing-back system when he arrives. Once again though, we started the season playing Inter Milan, and this time we pulled off a massive 1-0 win to kick off our season on the opening day. With a daunting Champions League season ahead though, I was shocked to see only Manchester City and PSG, who I really felt worried about playing. The rest were all points up for grabs. It didn't quite go as we hoped, however, as we took some huge beatings in the competition, which we thought we may have put up a bit more of a fight in. We scraped through, however, in the 24th place, the final spot to go into the knockout playoff round. In the Serie A though, we were still creating upsets and even beating champions Roma 1-0 away from home. It was an early exit from the Coppa Italia in the third round. And Roma did eventually get their own back in the UEFA Champions League as they knocked us out in the knockout playoff rather comfortably 5-2. But Turhan done well in this first season in the front line, scoring 18 goals, while Banda, Perotti and Venturino contributed well from the wings and the attacking threats. And Karabashvili joined and opened up a new weapon for us down that left wing for the second half of the season. And all this contributed to a cracking 4th place finish again, Champions League qualification, and finishing above the likes of Juve, Lazio, Milan, while champions Roma and Napoli are struggling down in the mid-table. And with the Champions League money coming in too, we've got a decent transfer budget for the summer. Ultimately, we've got to be really proud of the season we have just had. And to be fair, in this transfer window coming up, we've only got to get rid of Gaspar, who is, albeit one of our better centre defenders. You can see he's a 4-star player, and compared to the rest of our team, he is technically one of, if not our best player. But Lorenzo Venturino has stepped up this season. The development is definitely there. Karabashvili coming into the side, doing very well indeed. The names that we have introduced into the side just this season alone, including the goalkeeper, has really helped us out. I thought it'd be a bit of a drop-off. Usually stage 2 of Youth to Gold, when you start selling all of your best players, is when you expect that drop-off. That can be the hardest time in a Youth to Gold. We've done all right. Podolski, who's come in, has had a great season. 6'5", a monster defender, still only 19 years of age. Done very well. The goal scorer, Tugur Turhan, 18 goals and 4 assists in 35 games. Missed a few games, all right, but the development is okay. He's still got that 5-star potential. He's still got a bit to grow. Will he be the man who will stay up front for us for the whole of the Youth to Gold? I very much doubt it, but for right now, it's a good starting point. Once again, we managed to sell the only player too old for our side, but in doing so, we only sold him for £2 million. I made sure, however, that we spent as much as the board would give us and brought in a lot of talented teenagers on the transfers in. Tylel Tati joined the club and cost the most money from Nantes for £25.5 million. He's an excellent left-sided centre-back though, with great potential and a fairly professional personality. Lazar Savovic doesn't just have a cool name, he's also a very good attacking centre midfielder who cost us £7.5 million from Napoli. We brought Boris in from Hertha for just a slice cheaper at £6.5 million to be the more defensive midfield option, and the 19-year-old has great physicals and aggression, which I absolutely love. Last season, Bando was good, but he isn't as good as Oscar, another Polish youngster we have brought in for just £2.5 million, and he's an excellent attacking winger. Zekri cost us just £1.3 million, so I took a gamble on him to help with our under-20s and to be a good backup for Saba at left wing back. And the final signing we got over the line just before his 20th birthday, Blejon Kurtulus, cost just $900k and is an excellent centre back option for the rotation. And these new signings now mean there's only 2 players from the original Lecce team in the starting 11 for season 3, and of course we are also keeping the same system. For the 3rd season in a row, however, we start the season against Inter Milan, but this time we lose 2-0. The rest of the season was once again a surprising one though, considering we are really punching above our weight, the consistency in which we are doing so is rather impressive. Periotti, who started off as our right wing back and has been playing right wing, was our top scorer this season with 17 goals though, which was a bit of a red flag for the year. A penalty shootout cost us in the third round of the Coppa Italia, eliminating us from that competition. And our Champions League run ended in the league phase this season, finishing in 25th place. But in the Serie A, we came third, again shocking everybody around us and qualifying for the Champions League for season 4. We don't necessarily have any players we need to get rid of this season. However, I do want a bit of a clear out because we've got so many players. If you look, all the players that are 28, 4 of them there, none of them are really starting any games. So we kind of need to get rid of them because that's quite a lot of wages that I imagine we're paying them. Roughly between 10 and 5 grand a week. So we would free up about £30,000 just from those players alone, getting rid of them. And with the youth to go, you're bringing in players who are not looking at 30 grand a week contracts. So we should be all right. If we're looking at actually who is our most is Tyrell Tati, who's on 47. So Turhan has actually got a bit of a pay rise recently. I think that was in his contract. He's gone up to 33,000, as has Jamil Siebert, who's only a 26-year-old centre back, so he's don't have to worry about that too much. But yeah, our contracts are roughly around about the £20,000 mark for our first team players. And right now, I mean, even Karabashvili, who 9 times out of 10 leaves, we locked him down for another deal. So he has got another 4-year contract without a release clause, and he's on quite cheap wages. We might actually be able to keep hold of these guys. Zagan has done excellent. A goalkeeper I've never used, never heard of before this youth to gold. He has been brilliant. He's wanted. He ain't going anywhere. I promise you that. A little bit disappointed in terms of the goals. As I mentioned, Turhan, he only played 28 games. I don't know. I might look to bring in another striker. To be honest, I might do, because I don't think he's going to develop into a player that will score us a lot of goals. There's a couple of players that I brought in that I think, yeah, we're going to stick with these guys and eke it out. I mean, Oscar being one of them. I actually think Oscar's quite a good player, really. Just needs a couple of seasons. He's on a fairly determined personality, which means he might not have the best professionalism. Lazar Salvovic has done really well. Good bit of development in that centre midfield spot. So yeah, I'm happy with his performance across the season. But Venturino, again, dropped off a little bit, to be honest. Interesting, but he's worth quite a lot. That's another thing we need to take in consideration if they're going to make us money, because it is youth to gold, however. That's the whole point of this. We develop them until we sell them for huge profits. Potolski, 20 years of age, still looks great. I'm really happy with this team so far, and if we're looking at the money that we continue to bring in, we've got £34 million in the transfer budget this season, because finances overall were at £71 million. So yeah, we're looking quite good right now as a club. Just continue to potter on like this, please. Season 4 summer window was a tale of obstacles to overcome as we lost Tati to Liverpool for a £28 million release clause. Not to mention, we signed a Peruvian striker Daniel Leon, who PSG was after, and we couldn't register him because of too many non-EUs that we signed, so we loaned him out to Union Berlin. And the reason we couldn't register Daniel Leon was because we had already signed a Mexican defender for £11 million in Lizardo, who's very good from Chivas, as well as a Thai right back, whose name I will not try and pronounce, from Vissel Kobe in Japan for £4.6 million. Now, unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. However, I'm not too mad because I really wanted those 2 defenders. I felt like the defense is where we really needed to set up. We do need that striker, don't get me wrong, but maybe a loan spell won't be too bad. Maybe next season we can use him, because I did find another striker that I want to try. That man being Mark Rooney, who, yes, is English, but we signed him from a youth academy in Belgium, so his dual nationality stops him from being another non-EU player. We picked up yet another Polish player, and genuinely, there's so many good young Polish players. This midfielder cost me £3.4 million from Legia Warszawa. Christopher Boyan was a right midfielder from Bodo Glimt. That is a little on the expensive side at £10 million, but a gamble I'm willing to take right now. And with Tati, our left-sided centre-back, going, we signed Daniel, who is amazing with both feet, just can't jump, but he is only costing us £2.2 million from Cadiz. To give you an idea of the new signings that I'm going to give the most game time to this season, here are 5 new players in positions I'm going to invest time into. And the best 11 around that sees familiar names back in the lineup. This season has started incredibly well with 3 wins from 3, including a 4-1 victory over AC Milan, but I'm fully aware things won't be this easy all year. In Youth to Gold, you tend to come up with quite a lot of transitional seasons where you're trying to embed a lot of new first team players in. You're trying to give first team football to the new youngsters that you've brought in that you trust will be better in the future than your current crop of 11, and this is one of those seasons. We've got 5 new players going into positions that are filling positions where the players were better than the ones previous, but the ones that we're putting in is a gamble because they could be better in the long run. Transitional season. And it wasn't too long into the season before my prediction became correct, as we were bumped out of the Coppa Italia in the 3rd round at home by Udinese by a rocket. Our UEFA Champions League campaign was over immediately too. We were never beating the bigger teams this season and exited the league phase in 27th place. And while we held on to a good Serie A position, we weren't ever in the heights that we had been in the first 3 seasons. And I'm kind of putting that down to our lack of goals. Obviously defensively we are weaker this year without Tati, but our top scorer had 11 goals and was our left winger. Mark Rooney, who we trusted up front, scored 5 goals. All season, 5 goals. And so as transitional seasons go, finishing in 7th place, all things considered, is rather acceptable. It does mean right now we qualify for the UEFA Conference League, which is, I mean, that could be great for us because Lecce as a club, the club history that they have got, 0 Serie A titles, they've only ever won the Serie B, they haven't even won a Coppa Italia. So we could be in with our first ever major trophy should we do well in that competition. But to do well in that competition, I do think we need to invest in a new striker. Daniel Leon, though, if we can register him, could be the guy. He got 13 goals on loan at Union Berlin last season. He's got the pace for it. He's got a professional personality, which of course is great for developing and growing. And our scouts rate him so highly. He's 19 years of age. Could be really good. But the rest of the team, I mean, if we're looking at it, the fact that our best strike, well, our most clinical striker was our left forward with just 11 goals is a little embarrassing. Because I think if you're Mark Rooney, who we played up front as many times as possible, yes, he got 13 assists, and you've seen one of them. It was a very good assist. Not quite cutting it up front. It might be a right winger position for him in the future. He is left-footed. He could cut inside on that. The rest of the team was rather shocking. We do need to address this. I think midfield, I think we could go in centre midfield one more season without a sort of improving that. We've obviously just brought in Alexander, who was great for us, and we've got a couple of good players in midfield. Right now, I'm really focused on other positions because we've been given a big budget too. We've been given £59 million to spend for a UEFA Conference League side. That's pretty good. So I think this season we reinvest, we try and keep hold of all the players that we've already got. There's a couple of players that we do need to get rid of because of the age. If you're looking at it, Ndaba and Gabby Jean, who is running out of contract anyway, so I don't have to worry about him. But Ndaba, once he's gone, that's great. And I want to sell Indri as well to another country in Europe, or at least anywhere but Italy, because then he qualifies as another player that we have sold from the non-EU player, which I think qualifies us to sign another one, either this season or in the future. And that opens up more doors for us. Season 5, we did indeed sell Endry, the non-EU player, and Ndamba, who was turning 30, but we also loaned out Mark Rooney to Nantes for first-team football. And that was because we were able to register Daniel Leon of Peru this season, who did well last year at Union Berlin on loan, scoring 13 goals. Ronaldo Pinto is a young 18-year-old who will be waiting for his chance in the rotation and playing a lot of youth football for now as another good striking option, but he has a fickle personality and we signed him for £18 million from Rio Ave in Portugal. Topic is a Serbian midfielder we sent back on loan, which was only because, again, we couldn't register him because of the non-EU rules. And that's because we stole Eric Sainz just as he was signing for Aston Villa. He was in contract negotiations when my scouts brought him to my attention, and I made the £13 million move instantly from Cruz Azul in Mexico. The biggest signing of the season though was Transitional, a French fullback who looks amazing and has a perfectionist personality, but did cost us £39 million up front, with installments taking it to nearly £50 million. He is going straight in the lineup though as a right wing back with Sainz in front of him and Leon up front this season. Outside of that, we signed a few future prospects, including 2 goalkeepers, all for less than £5 million, or low risk with high reward signings. Right now though, I think we are set up for a better year this season, especially because of that Conference League qualification, where Daniel Leon thrived in the qualifiers, taking his total to 6 goals in just the first 3 matches so far in a Lecce shirt and combining well with Sainz. Ultimately, that's the competition we really want to do well in. However, some of the teams in that are a little bit frustrating because, I mean, Aston Villa's in there, Athletic Bilbao are always quite good in there. There's some big teams, all right? There's some big teams in that division that if we don't win it, it might not be my fault. However, the league phase went rather well as we won 5 and only drew 1, which was a 2-2 draw against Aston Villa, finishing top of the group. Coppa Italia was slightly better this season in that we made it past the 3rd round but lost to Lazio in the quarterfinals 3-1. Our league form drastically improved. We weren't title contenders but back in our best of the rest category, with Daniel Leon scoring 17 league goals. And the development of the young Peruvian is absolutely outstanding, by the way. I can't wait to show you that, as is Eric Sainz, who picked up 9 goals and 12 assists just in the league too, helping us finish back in the top 4 of the Serie A this season, with some of the wins that we had this season in the back end being a massive victory for us. 3-1 win over Inter Milan, or a massive 6-0 win over Juventus at home as the big highlights of the year. The biggest highlight of the season though was in the UEFA Conference League run as we knocked out Rijeka in the round of 16 8-0 on aggregate. Then the Greek side PAOK tried to stop us in the quarterfinals, but we beat them 5-1 on aggregate. We then went to Spain to face Bilbao in the semi-final first leg, where we hammered them 3-0 to take that advantage back to the south of Italy in hopes to make the final. And just a 1-0 loss on the night gives us that opportunity at a European trophy. The problem is that the final was against the favourites Aston Villa, who has a great team without Sainz of course, because we stole him, with the likes of Jared Bowen, Rodgers, Elliott and Gasson all in front of Elliot Anderson and Kamara. But we were packing a full punch too, because I fully rotated the final league game and rested the likes of Leon and Sainz. So although they had the bigger names and were probably still expecting to be lifting the trophy, we had a few players who this season had breakout years and could become the future of Italian football, so the stage was set. But it wasn't Leon or Sainz who took the headlines, as in fact the first goal came from our midfield. Aston Villa were soon back level when Gasson beat our goalkeeper to the ball to round him. However, the first half was full of action and we took the lead this time from our Polish winger. There was still time for Kvaratskhelia to create his own opening to make it 3-1 and for Aston Villa to score a second before half-time to make it 3-2. But with a cagey second half, the final goal came when the Georgian left wing-back struck again after taking the corner for Lecce. And we were overjoyed to be lifting the UEFA Conference League trophy. 4-2 winners over Aston Villa as well, a match where our biggest names took a step back and allowed some unsung heroes of the season to step back into the spotlight. So is this a sign of things to come? Development-wise, this season, Daniel Leon's growth has been monumental. He is already an elite striker, scoring 31 goals across the whole season. Tanjigora also stepped up into that right wing-back role, locking down 14 goals himself with 15 assists, which was rather impressive. And the 19-year-old Eric Sainz that we stole from Aston Villa nailed down that right wing spot with 14 goals and 20 assists, and again, so much attribute development. Phenomenal season. Absolutely love that, and they need a well-deserved rest. I mean, Oscar on the left wing, he got the goal in the final. I'm sort of like hamming up the other guys, but 22 years of age, he got 20 goals this season. He was very good. And it's actually a position that I was kind of thinking, do I need a new player there? Do I stick a second striker up there? I don't know what to do, but he was so consistent this year, so I'm still a little bit, I don't know what to do with him. Ronaldo Pinto, I played him as much as I possibly could coming off the bench when we were already winning games. And he did all right. He got 7 goals. He's been playing for the under-18s as well. So, I mean, he's been getting a few game time from that. But, I mean, he's been getting a lot of game time anyway in the Serie A squad. So, there's a bit of development there. I don't know whether a loan spell might be better for him, like Mark Rooney, because Mark Rooney went out on loan. There is definitely development there, just not exactly the numbers. So, I don't know. By the way, he's from Montenegro, which really surprised me because obviously I bought him from Belgium. So he was English when we bought him. He is also fully Belgian nationality too, and Montenegrin. And he's called Mark Rooney. So, I mean, answers on a postcard how that's happened. I do think right now our big focus for the summer might be that centre midfield spot. We've already got some good players in there, don't get me wrong. I mean, the goal scorer in the final himself, Alexander, was a fantastic player who's only 20 years of age, but not as good as what I think some of the rest of our squad can be. I think that is definitely our weakest position right now, those 2 centre midfield spots, Savovic and Alexander. Might be 2 spots that we need to look at, and we've got £29 million to do so. I was hoping it was more, but I guess we didn't have any Champions League football this season. This season, the departures was kind of small, considering it was players running out of contract, with Venturino, our first signing, going for £8 million, and Siebert going for less than £1 million. But the transfers in included just one name in Chaliscan, an elite midfielder who we spent a lot of money on through instalments at £55 million from Freiburg. And he will go straight into the left side of our centre midfield, given that he is also left-footed, while we try Ronaldo Pinto on the left-hand side from the wide forward role too. And he managed to assist Lyon on the opening day of the season against Juventus, although it was in a 3-1 defeat. After last season's European trophy win though, a better campaign in the Champions League would be welcome, seeing as it's been a tough time in that competition so far for us. However, nobody expected us to go and top the league phase though, with just an away draw to PSG and 7 wins, including Real Madrid in one of those fixtures. And it isn't just UEFA Champions League that we are topping the league either, as we've got top spot in the Serie A for now, while Inter Milan have a game in hand. We are still massively jinxed in the Coppa Italia though, losing in the quarter-final stage on penalties to AC Milan. But back in the Champions League, we managed to get past Nice 7-3 on aggregate in the round of 16, which, if you ask me, is a Nice way to make sure that you are subscribed, as 40% of you who watch are not. Cheesy jokes aside, back in the league, an away trip to Inter Milan was an early sign of where the title would go, and in Milan, we were superior, defeating them 4-2. Quite a dominant performance as well, with 23 shots. And we even opened up a 10-point gap at the top of the league with 8 games remaining. Next in the Champions League, however, we were drawn against Liverpool and pulled off a massive 4-1 win in the first leg away from home at Anfield to shock the rest of Europe. And that was also without Daniel Lyon too, as Mark Rooney started and scored up front in his absence. Which was the same for the second leg too. Daniel Lyon was still injured, and Rooney once again got an important goal as we drew 3-3 and beat them 7-4 on aggregate. We let ourselves down in the semi-final first leg against Manchester City though, as they battered us 5-1 at the Etihad, making it nearly impossible to progress to the final. And although we played really well in the second leg at home against them, we were never able to get ourselves back into position where we looked like we were going to go to make the final, drawing 3-3 and losing 8-4 on aggregate. Despite missing a few games though, Daniel Lyon was so clinical this year and got 30 goals this season, and the supporting pack also backed a ton of goals too. We were the top scorers of the Serie A and finally broke through the ceiling we had upon us in the first 5 years. And there's no surprise we continued our league at the top, and we smashed the Serie A by 9 points after only losing 4 games. So our first league title in our history, our second trophy in 2 consecutive seasons as well. And yeah, we really did dominate. We had the most goals, team statistics. We were just absolutely fantastic. You can see 106 goals to Inter Milan's 80. We just dominated that, which was great to see. Player-wise, it wasn't as good. I mean, player statistics, you're looking at the goals. We didn't have that. Daniel Lyon was so far behind Lautaro Martinez. It's unbelievable. 8 goals behind him. But assist-wise, we didn't do too bad, actually. So, I mean, I hate all of this page. I think it's just really annoying. But assists is all the way down there. Assist-wise, we had so many players, even in the top 10, which is great to see. Signs topping that group with 16. And the development, again, considering we only bought one player this season, we didn't really need to buy loads. Daniel Leon is just a phenomenal football player. He is world-class now. He's only 21 as well, so that's exciting. He's one of the best players. Eric Sainz is sort of his compadre on the right-hand side. He's been great. Again, developing well. Her physicals are fantastic. And if you're looking at his potential, there's still a lot to come from Eric, which is quite exciting, to be fair. And if you're looking again at a bit of a comeback story, Mark Rooney. I mean, we've seen he scored a few goals. He stepped into the shoes of Daniel Leon when he wasn't available in the Champions League, against Liverpool especially. And he has scored a fair amount of goals, 16 in 16 starts, a lot off the bench as well. But that's really promising. And Ronaldo Pinto as well, who was very good. We locked him in on that left-hand side. He was fantastic. Good season for him. 13 goals. I mean, in the Champions League, he got 4, which isn't bad. In the league, he got 9 goals and 11 assists. So the front three worked their magic this season. But I do think, obviously, our one and only signing this year was the catalyst for us doing much better in the league. And it might be something that we look into doing this season, depending on who's available and the budget, for maybe centre-back, depending on what I can find. If I can find a player with that calibre of attributes, obviously he's developed quite well in that first season, who I know is going to be world-class. You know, you can just tell when they're young and they're that good, with a decent personality. I won't hesitate in spending the money on that again, because he was phenomenal. He was absolutely fantastic. A great average rating across all competitions. And recruitment-wise, they have given us £50 million, which is a lot more than what we had last summer. So we might be able to do that again. 10 million in departures for the summer of Season 7, mainly from Savovic, and we are struggling to get any value in for our players. What we aren't struggling with is finding fantastic replacement though. Estevão Genro Neto, a centre midfielder who's only 19 and has 20 in both concentration and flair, and a perfectionist personality. A steal who cost us £21 million from Brazil. We had to pick between him and Manuel Suarez as to who we could register as a non-EU player, and Suarez, being the new goalkeeper who's come in, just signed from Boca, will have to wait another year. David Alberts joined us from Dundee for just £7 million and looks to be a cracking defender, as does Davide Bazzoni, who I'm thinking is a long-term replacement for Karabashvili, who we signed from AC Milan for £25 million. We then spent £31 million on Alexander Mandic, who I've had my eye on for a while, from Club Brugge, who looks to be another very good striker or potentially a left forward. And again, to give you an idea of my thought process for this season, these 4 new players will take up these roles mainly this year. We are also back to playing Inter Milan on the opening day of the season, and the lads performed well, scoring first, but we couldn't hold on to the lead and eventually settled for a 1-1 draw. As the season went on though, another penalty shootout came upon us in the Coppa Italia third round, and we missed 3 of them thanks to Torino's goalkeeper and was eliminated. And our Champions League phase didn't quite go as we planned, losing to PSG, Newcastle and drawing to Marseille, finishing down 11th place and having to compete in another round in the knockout playoffs. But just over the halfway stage in the league, and we hadn't dropped off too much in the Serie A, and we were still in the title race with AC Milan. In the knockout playoffs of the Champions League, we put up a solid performance across 2 legs against a familiar opponent in Inter Milan, beating them 5-1. However, our league form around that fixture started to drop off as we were losing a lot of points. By April, we were 6 points behind the leaders AC Milan. In the Champions League, we then hosted Real Madrid at home in the first leg of the round of 16, and although we fell behind to Mbappe's goal, we pulled it back to 1-1 to stay in the fixture for the second leg in Spain. But when Real Madrid took a 2-goal lead at the Bernabeu thanks to Jude Bellingham, I knew we were in a bit of trouble, and Sainz scored our only goal of the game, and we exited the competition. Our sole focus on Season 7 shifted towards the league campaign, but the more that we tried, the further it felt that we were to leaders AC Milan. We dropped some crucial points and could never quite catch up, finishing 7 points behind the champions, down in second place. This was such a weird season because Daniel Leon also scored the most goals, 24, I think team goals, we scored the most as well. We were just just not in any competition looking like, we got to the end of the season like we were actually going to do anything. But I guess the development continues. Daniel Leon, 27 goals, absolutely phenomenal player. Look how good he already is. And usually I don't like the player traits that comes deep to get ball, but it just seems to work in this FM26. Esteval Genro Neto, though. I mean, what a player he really was this year. Some pickup, £21 million release clause from Vitória in Brazil. A phenomenal talent. Like, world-class midfielder already, and he's just turned 20 this season. 220s in there. Phenomenal. He's also good at free kicks as well. He scored a banging free kick earlier on in the season. Eric Sainz, 15 goals, 16 assists. Mandic doing quite well. 13 goals, 14 assists. And again, the development is there. Eric Sainz, probably one of the best right midfielders in the world. Mandic, one of the best coming from the left this year. Of course, we played him quite a lot. In fact, he played every single Serie A game starting on the left. No breaks whatsoever, no injuries. Now, Vasil Chaliscan, good performance, good development. More of the defensive midfielder. He's more the ball player, to be fair. He's a midfield playmaking. You can see why. I mean, the 17 for passing, good vision. But the flair, the decision-making, composure, everything about his game. We went from having one of the worst midfields to, in like 3 seasons, the best. Tanjagora, by the way, is an unbelievable right wing back. And it makes Karabashvili look kind of terrible. And he is sort of played a bit of a part on the bench this year. I mean, he's still great. Look at him. He's still fantastic. But we have been trying our best. And this, again, it might be because of the sort of like the season that we have, transitional season, trying to get players like Bazzoni in there, who's been great at left wing back, good bit of development, but he's not fully fledged first teamer yet in the first team. Now this season we have £50 million. I don't know, again, it might just be a case, if you're looking at this, I mean, these are just the 15 to 19 year olds. If we can find somebody, we're scouting pretty much all of the good ones. If we can find somebody who sort of comes into our team and is our best player in that specific position, we might chuck a load of money at them. But right now, I don't feel like we haven't really got anybody like that. The Esteban was that guy last year, but we don't have that in our scouting range this season. Season 8, and we sold more money than the amount that we paid for the players coming in, as Daniel left for 15 million and our 3 Polish players also all left the club at the same time. For the first time in a long time, however, we didn't sign anyone who would really challenge for a 13 spot, as Haritzi, who was our best signing from PAOK for 16 million, is not quite at the level of Esteval or Chaliscan. We were able to register Manu Suarez this season, and I'm thinking of taking the gamble and playing him as our new number 1 goalkeeper. It's just him and Bazzoni who are the changes I really want to enforce on my strongest 11 right now for a full new gen side, because the rest of the side is so good, I think we can cope even with those changes. And we even beat the champions AC Milan on the opening day of the league campaign with 10 men for 80 minutes of the match thanks to an early red card. We struggled in the league phase of the UEFA Champions League though, only winning half of our fixtures and finishing in 12th place, but we are still in the Coppa Italia at the quarter-final stage, which was a nice change. The Serie A though was a different story. We were dominating it, 8 points clear with a game in hand, and none of the big 4 including Juve, both Milans or Napoli were anywhere near us. The league campaign was ours to lose, and we weren't going to chuck it away very easily. We smashed through Atalanta in the knockout playoff round of the Champions League 6-2 on aggregate, before then defeating Nice in the round of 16 by 8 goals to 2, continue on our dominant fashion. We were even 3-0 up in the Coppa Italia semi-final. Our dominance then came to a halt as the UEFA Champions League quarter-final stage against Dortmund, and we unfortunately lost 3-2 on aggregate to the German side. A 1-0 second leg win in the Coppa Italia semi-final though meant there was still 2 trophies up for grabs this season. For the second time, though, we had the Serie A wrapped up in the first week of May, lifting the Scudetto by 11 points ahead of Atalanta as we prepare for Juventus in the cup final. And in Rome, I don't think Juventus were prepared for just how good we were going to be. After we took the lead from the penalty spot on 11th minutes, we never looked like we were going to take our foot off the gas, and we kept the pressure on, to which they simply folded. And before you know it, the most embarrassing 5-0 defeat in a cup final had Juventus fans in a fury and Lecce fans over the moon. Obviously, what makes that victory really funny is how bad we have been in the Coppa Italia, but it's nice to finally get that little duck off of our shoulder. And finally, with Lecce, we have picked up not only 2 Serie A's, a Europa Conference League, but a Coppa Italia too. So that's nice. The first ever Coppa Italia for Lecce. A phenomenal achievement from us. But this team, I mean, I can't really say much more about them. Every single season, we're looking at how good they're doing. I mean, Daniel Leon getting 30 goals and 16 assists, and just the progression alone, he's only 23. He is 23. Just if you look at his career so far, the 4 seasons that we have had him have been phenomenal. He only got 18 goals in the league this year, but 13 assists was unbelievable. Ronaldo Pinto has had a fantastic season. Really started using him quite a lot from that left-hand side, and it's paid off. So Ronaldo Pinto, I'm kind of happy with. He's wanted by a couple of clubs. I ain't selling him. Not with a name like Ronaldo Pinto and with him being that good, and he can still reach a full potential. The centre midfield partnership now, we have got nailed down. And how good is this? Because Vaisal, as you can see there, just committed his future to the club after turning down Manchester City. Yes, they activated his release clause, which was over £100 million a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember where it is now. And we went and made sure we offered him a new deal. There it is. So it was £113 million. Now, usually in Youth to Gold, when it gets to that point, you try and sell your players, because obviously we would have made a massive profit off of him. Although we did spend £78 million. So not that big, but we would have doubled our money. However, we have no replacement set up because there are simply nobody as good as him lined up. In the centre midfield spots, we have Topic, who has been out on loan and could obviously come into the team. He's a perfectionist personality. I just don't think he's going to be anywhere near as good. His potential's nowhere near as high. And outside of that, we can't find anybody as good as him. Estevao is already that guy, and he is phenomenal, of course. So our centre midfield partnership is just been beautiful. At the back as well, I mean, Manu Suarez, we've tried to play him as many games as possible. A little bit of development, but not a lot. He's got a fairly professional personality, but it's not exactly done much. But Zoni, who I've obviously highlighted there to remind me, has got a little bit better. Not a lot. I might sell Karabashvili, though, and try and find a second player. Karabashvili is still good. He's only 24, but I kind of like the idea of that we have a full new-gen side next year, and we might better do that if we get rid of Zagan and Karabashvili. That would be it. That would be a full new-gen lineup, which, hey, that's when the game gets really exciting in the Youth to Gold for me. So we'll continue to buy some good players. David Alberts was a good one this year. He's developed fantastically well the last couple of seasons after, 2 full seasons at the club and doing quite well. He's been great this year. We'll continue to buy players just like that to complement, obviously, our star men that we've already got. Year 9, and we finally say goodbye to Karabashvili to Manchester United for £26 million more than what we paid for him in Season 2. Zagan left on a free transfer too, and we now have a full new-gen squad. We signed some good players too to add, with Erling Bergersen signing from Viking from Norway for £7.5 million. Dokutros was the most expensive player of the summer from AEK for £28.5 million, and he's a quality midfielder. Not done with the Nordic countries yet though, as we also signed Lukic Mitrovic from Copenhagen for 17.5 million. Schneller joined from Zagreb, an attacking midfielder who would make a good centre mid with a perfectionist personality for again 7.5 million. David Suzuki joined from Bayern Munich, again 7.5 million, a good centre back from Germany. Jonas Kotting was a very good young goalkeeper who again cost 7.5 million pound that we signed from Basel in Switzerland. But the final signing might be our best, as Gustavo Escribano joins the club for just 3.5 million and looks absolutely incredible as another striker option. So much so that I even contemplated changing formation and sticking a second striker up there with Leon to fit him in. But the side is just so well balanced as it is. Outside of a couple of little minor tweaks, this is basically the same formation as what we set up with in like season 1 or 2. And the wingers just help so much. I don't think I can go too up front. Not to mention as well, we absolutely blitzed the league and cup last season, and if it wasn't for a bad performance against Dortmund, we might have actually won the treble. So we kicked on and continued to destroy Italian football with class and elegance. And Escribano did well off the bench, scoring 7 goals by the end of January. Andrea Pironi was another talented youngster who burst onto the scene this season mainly from the bench that actually came through the Lecce Youth Academy. Even with only 1 loss at the start of February though, we were still sat in second place behind Juventus in a title race. We did also finish in the top 8 of the UEFA Champions League phase, losing just 1 game again. In the round of 16 though, we came up against Brighton and sailed through 11-2 on aggregate. We finally hit a wall when we dropped points thanks to a loss to Sassuolo, because Juventus were relentless and now we were 5 points behind them with 8 games remaining. We then had to face Atletico Madrid in the Champions League quarter-final right before playing Juventus in the Serie A, and in Madrid, a solid performance ended in a 1-1 draw to take back to Italy. We were much more confident in the second leg and taking the lead in the first half, we then secured a 3-1 aggregate score from Pironi with a banger. There were so many important matches in April though, as Juventus came just before the Coppa Italia semi-final against Napoli, but the midfield maestro of Genro Neto bagged a hat-trick of goals in a massive title clash win against Juve in the Serie A. This gave us momentum to not only beat Napoli in the Coppa Italia across 2 legs, but also beat them in the league in the following fixture too. And while that was happening, Juventus were in a free-fall, losing 3 out of their last 4 games in the league, with Lazio up next. And within a month, we went from 5 points behind them to 4 points ahead. Back to the UEFA Champions League, and we now have Real Madrid in the semi-final, with the first leg being played in Madrid and just 1 goal being scored, and it was by Eric Sainz. With the treble well and truly on, we had to first defeat AC Milan in the Coppa Italia final. It took a while for either team to really get going, but on the half-hour mark, we took the lead, and from there, we became unstoppable, scoring 1 more goal before half-time to go into the break, leaving Milan looking absolutely shell-shocked thanks to the second goal from Leon being a beautiful team goal, with a third being scored right after the break on the counter-attack by right wing-back Tanjigora. And with the final score being 5-1, trophy number 1 with the Coppa Italia this season was claimed in a massive win. And we were still on for the treble when Real Madrid travelled to Lecce, a goal down to find themselves behind 2-0 on aggregate, only being able to pull 1 back to send us through to the Champions League final. Juventus had beaten Lazio, meaning we had to beat AC Milan again to lift the Scudetto before the final game of the season. And just days after thrashing them 5-1 in the Coppa Italia final, I thought AC Milan would put up a harder fight this time. But I was wrong. They folded worse than what they did in Rome, and we found ourselves walking the ball into their net 3 times in the first half, putting Lecce's name on a 3rd Serie A trophy in what turned out to be a 5-2 win. Juventus even crumbled on the final day at home, losing 3-0, so we eventually won the league by 7 points after being 5 down going into April. Now though, our attention turns to the big one, the Champions League final, where we find ourselves against Spurs. This is also against the Spurs side with some very recognisable names. Obviously Samu's up there, who is one of my favourite players, so that's going to be quite frustrating. Diogo Costa, my dad's favourite goalkeeper that he likes to buy. But I thought that some of the names in Football Manager 26 have been quite hilarious. I mean, we've got Terence Tanjigora, we've got Isara Mohamadzadeh, Pim Product. That's one name, by the way, you might have seen that's been floating around. But look at Spurs' bench. Warren Lloyd, Mac Starsky, Johnny. Football Manager. Some of the names that come through as new gens just always make me cry with laughter. But here we go. It's the Champions League final. It's the first time that we've managed to get to this point with this Lecce side. And I'll be honest, I've kind of fallen in love with Lecce. I don't normally fall in love with clubs that I'd be on Football Manager now because I play so many different saves. But Lecce has been different. From the very beginning, Lecce has been a team that I have really enjoyed managing. And now we've taken them all the way to the Champions League final using the youth to gold. All the way down to their kit is lovely. I think the only bad thing about them is the badge. It doesn't match the kit. I like it when a badge has the same colours as the kit. But this team, all the way from Daniel Leon to the goalkeeper Suarez, what a team that we have built here. Can we win it with the youth to gold? Let's find out. All right, we've got an early highlight here. Within 2 minutes, which is kind of nice, Chaliscan tries to get past Hingerwood, but doesn't. Oh, Costa right on the goal line there. Is that going to be the highlight? Sometimes that class is the highlight because it goes really close to the goal line. Signs. Oh, no, he finds Tanjagora. There's a ball. Leon. Couldn't get it under control. Daniel Leon, you'll see it probably in quite a lot of the highlights. The amount of goals he scores where it's a cutback and he drops back and finds the space. It's so bizarre, but he does have that comes deep to get ball. And I don't know whether that plays a big part. Dirdoff nearly scored there. That was a bit of a let-off for us, boys. I'm still trying to work out what the best player traits are in Football Manager this year, especially for strikers, especially with like the meta kind of obviously regarding the strikerless. Whether you need players who act like that, I don't know. Kostov, though, is causing us a lot of trouble here. So is Jack Hinshelwood. Dirdoff, oh my god, it's 1-0. It's very poor defending from our boys there. Very poor defending. Now, we couldn't get a couple of our players registered for the Champions League. I think because of the non-EU rule. So there's a couple of players we don't have on our bench. However, Peroni is on the bench, who's come through our youth academy and just been a bit of a breath of fresh air this year. He does make some mistakes. A couple of goals has been given away from his bad clearances, etc. But yeah, down that left-hand side, he has been very good. There's Leon dropping off really deep to get the ball and carry on the attack. But Zoni's done well there. Chaliscan, our midfield of Chaliscan. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Pinto. Bizzoni. Signs. No. Tanjagora with the third attempt. This is third goal in 15 matches. As a right wing back, he scored so many goals. It was a lot of money from Saint Etienne. We spent big money on 2 players. One was Chaliscan. One was Tanjagora. And I think both of them have paid off because they are world-class players. And in Youth to Gold, I don't tend to buy players for big money. You'll see quite a lot of them around about the £10 million mark. But when you see players like Tanjagora and you think he could be a great wing-back, and you see players like Chaliscan and he already is a world-class midfielder, you got to spend the money. Obviously, we could have sold Chaliscan for a huge profit, but he decided to stay because he was so young. I didn't really want to sell him at that point. But in Youth to Gold, when he got to like 28, that would be when I would be looking to sell him. Right now, though, he's only 22, 23. We've got so many years left with Chaliscan. It goes without saying as well, if we do manage to win this, or whenever we manage to win the Champions League, the save game file will be made available for Patreon members at patreon.com/MegaLukeGaming, or YouTube channel members. Dirdoff with the free kick. Kamara. Oh, it's headed in by Vuskovic. And again, it's really poor defending from us. It's so poor defending. I'm disappointed with that one. It's just before half-time. We've had better chances, I think, but Spurs have been more clinical. They've basically had a couple of shots where they've just passed it around perfectly. This sign's very good from him. Leon plays it out. Oh, we've got a bit of an overload here. Bazzoni. Can you find somebody with the cutback? There it is. Leon! Told you. Told you. Daniel Leon, who, let's face it, he has been our best player so far that we have bought. The output in this man is unbelievable. The fact that I nearly let him go when I seen that he was a non-EU player, and I thought, well, we can't even use him in the first year, but I'll bring him in anyway. Here he is, just scoring so many goals for us when we really struggled. If you remember, we had Tugra Turhan at the start. He was struggling for goals. We even put that guy, oh God, I can't even remember what he was called now. We put him up front and he just didn't score any goals. We eventually got rid of him, obviously. But so far, Daniel Leon has been unbelievable up front and never let us down once we found him up front for us. So, yeah, I mean, there's been some quality players, but let's take a look at him again. Not bad, is he? Not bad at all. World-class striker. But that's all about youth to gold. Just finding players, taking a gamble, and then, you know, when they do well, just keep trusting them. And then you can see, you know when you find a wonder kid like that. You know if you invest time into into getting him first team football with a good personality and they start shooting up within the first season like that, you know you're onto a winner. There's signs. Leon. Oh, Leon's just playing all the way through. He's on the run. Nobody can catch him. Daniel Leon. It's an unbelievable goal. He knew we were talking about him. Oh my God, he picked it up on the halfway line. He had 5 Spurs players around him there. There's 5 of them. From his own half, the 4 defenders sprinting back, and he had a football at his feet and still put it past Diego Costa. What a goal that is from Daniel Leon. Oh my word. That is phenomenal. Okay, let's praise the boys for this performance so far. Chalaskan's going to take a corner now. It's headed out. There's Eric Sainz. And if you want anybody to have the ball around the edge of the area, it's Eric Sainz. Chalaskan's been brought down. Referee is listening. And I think this is going to be a penalty to Lecce, which could put us 4-2 up. We scored just before half-time, and now before the 50th minute, we could be 4-2 up. Who's going to take it? Chalaskan's going to take it. It still took over a minute before this penalty's being taken, by the way. Chalaskan with his ponytail. Fast him to cut it off loads of times. No, the number 8 bangs it into the top corner. And it's 4-2 to Lecce. Come on, boys. This is an unbelievable Champions League final. 4-2. With the game going either way. Coming back from 1-0 down and 2-1 down. Now we're in the driving seat. What a penalty that is. Right into the top bins. The annoying thing is Daniel Leon's on for a hat-trick. I don't really want to take him off, but there's a couple of obviously good attackers that we've got on the bench that we'd like to give some game time to. I mean, Pinto, I think we bring Pinto off because he's not exactly playing very well. He's got a 7, which isn't too bad. Ronaldo Pinto. Again, another player we tried playing up front. He's really turned into a quality left winger. So you can see that. Ronaldo Pinto. I wanted to play him as much as possible because he's called Ronaldo. If you find a Portuguese player called Ronaldo, you play the man. Especially if he's a world-class sort of attacker. And he is very good. Just not done that well in this game. But Peroni, who of course come from our youth academy, is still developing, still growing. 21 years of age. He hasn't had the game time like other players, which is the reason why he's not exactly at that level. But if Leon can get himself a hat-trick, Escribano, I do want to bring on. I haven't shown him much because he hasn't played that much, but he's 19 years of age and he is phenomenal still. So, yeah, we have a good future. And if Daniel Leon does end up leaving, Escribano is the man that we can put into that position and trust that, hey, we've got a good player in there. All right, Ryan Cherky's over the ball for Spurs. Is a good clearance. Neto has also headed that out. And Peroni's going to get to that first. Yes, come on. Oh, and he's pushed it past the defender as well. Peroni. Can he find? Oh, it's a good shot. He had nobody there, did he? He was too fast for everybody else. Leon just couldn't catch up. I really need to find Leon. I really want to bring on Escribano, but I don't want to take Leon off when he's on for a hat-trick. Could we go 2 up top, though? Maybe. Don't want to change it. I've only done that once, and we just didn't score from it at all. We're just better with wingers. Just better with wide forwards. I tried it in one of the matches. It didn't really pay off. We were already like 4-0 up, so it didn't matter, but just seeing what it was like when we could get both of them on the pitch at the same time and nothing really happened. Kudarakis is up the ball. Yuri Bass. They've got a good team here, Spurs. Kostov. They're playing it around us, but we're kind of just letting them at the minute. Our biggest thing is the counter-attack. If they do not have a highlight, they're in trouble because our counter-attacks are deadly. Especially with the pace that we've got up front. And midfield. I mean, say what you will, Genro Neto is so quick. He is so fast. So many 20s. He's nearly got 20 for vision too. All right, I need to make some more changes though. Oh, it's going to be the highlight. So I'll leave it. I'll leave this highlight. Then we'll make some changes. It's the 80th minute. Changes need to be made. Chalascan does well there. Pimperage up. Neto plays out to Bazzoni. He's never really got to the level of Karabashvili, but I think a couple more years he would. Oh, Samu, what a goal that is. Oh, do I make changes now? This could be quite risky. Checking a goal for VAR. It's been awarded as well. He's miles on. Right. Okay. Oh, kick-off highlight. Okay, now I'll wait for this highlight. Pimpered up. Such a long name. Bazzoni. That's good. Peroni. Oh, he skinned a defender. Peroni should be doing better there. I think that's when you can kind of see the difference in like Ronaldo Pinto to Peroni, because Peroni doesn't quite have the dribbling, the finishing ability, but he's just so fast. His acceleration of 19, agility of 19, he's so fast. He can kind of do what Ronaldo Pinto can't, because Ronaldo Pinto only has obviously 16 acceleration, but he's just so much more clinical. Hey, there we go. Right, Escribano. I'm sorry, Leon. You're going to come off to a big applause. And Dacrutros, possibly. We don't necessarily have. I mean, because we've also got Topic, who he's better defensively, actually. But I think Ducatros is kind of a better player. So let's bring on him in that centre midfield spot. And the rest of the positions, we don't necessarily have like players I like to bring on anyway. So we'll leave it at that for now, because it's a close game. And I don't want to change too much, especially with Samu on the pitch. He's already got himself one. All right, it's the 89th minute. We need a bit of time wasting going on here. So let's change that to more often. And we'll reduce the tempo, because we don't want to lose the ball. So we'll keep the ball. 5 minutes. Oh, are you joking? Could really do with this not happening. 94. I think it's done it, boys. I think we've done it. Lecce are Champions League winners. We have won the treble in the final season as well. Season 9. Took us 9 years to do it, but only buying teenagers and selling players who are 30 or above. Doing very well, because our average team age is actually, I think the oldest player is 25. Champions League winners. I really love this club. Remember to check out thepage.com/Megaloot Gaming if you want the save game file to take the tactic or carry it on, or YouTube channel members. Thank you very much for watching. I have absolutely loved this, and I cannot wait to do another Youth to Gold. But I don't think I'll find a team as perfect for it as what Lecce is, because this team was insane. If you're looking for another video to promote on screen right now, I'm going to give you two options. One is the richest club versus the promoted underdogs, me versus Dad, Newcastle versus Sunderland, or the one where I became the head coach only, no transfers, the director of football challenge, some people call it, at Aston Villa. Those two are on screen. Pick your favourite.